Regional variants, or rather regional forms, have become a staple of the Pokemon games in the recent time, and for this exact reason I have to say that the possibility of there being regional variants and forms of some Pokemon in the Pokemon Legend Arceus game is a high possibility. The idea of there being regional variants has already been put forth by speculations, theories, as well as rumors, hence why I want to kind of take a look at what possible regional variants we can expect from these games in particular. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. The obvious ones would have to be the starter Pokemon. Now, based on the trailer and the website, the starters themselves in their first stages are not different from their counterparts from the future. However, if we take a look at the possibilities for what they could turn into, it would be something along the lines of this. For Decidueye, we could expect to see more influence from traditional Japanese clothing, since Decidueye is the archer Pokemon, and in ancient Japan, or rather in warring era Japan, during the samurais warring against each other, the samurai were actually mostly using archery as a way of fighting, with sword duels not being as common as the use of archery and bows really was. And with a design such as this, I think we could definitely look at a highly possible idea of what this new form could look like, and with the previous typing still being around and all the style and all that still being there, I mean, what do you guys think about this design? Also, shout out to all the artists, they're all linked down below in the description, but a design like this would make a lot of sense to me. Next is Typhlosion, which doesn't actually have a lot of design choices within it that can easily be discerned, but within its design, there is a reference to the Shogun. Actually, within its Japanese name, it has a direct reference to the Shogun, which was the title of the leaders in Japan during its samurai-ruled era and history, so to say. So the design that takes that into account and goes with that is something in the shape of what you see on the screen right here. I mean, this is just a kind of a messed around idea of what it could look like, but in general, just imagine kind of like the way samurai armor looks like and mash that together with Typhlosion. Something like that would make a lot of sense to me. And finally we have Samurott, who of course would be a far more difficult Pokemon to figure out design for if it wasn't for the fact that its name literally has samurai in it, right? Like the Samu part of samurai is in its name, so a design that also takes inspiration from samurai would make a lot of sense here as well. Now this design on the screen right here goes for a bit of a, kind of a buff concept and mixes in kind of the name Nobunaga, which if you know anything about, like, if you ever watch any anime, you would have heard this name. If you know anything about Japanese like samurai or famous samurai, then you know that name as well, as it is probably the most famous name when it comes to samurai just in general. See, all the starters in general I would say fit really well with forms that sort of relate to ancient Japan or feudal Japan or even the Edo era of Japan. Basically they all fit to that era really well. Like they all seem to work well within that scale and that time frame. So just in general, in a general sense of words, right, I do think that these three are chosen for this reason, as having references to basically either archery, samurais, etc. Like all of that. It just all makes sense perfectly to me. So what do you guys think about it? Like, let me know in the comment section down below. However, if we jump over to other Pokemon of this region, we could expect a different thing. Since these starter evolutions will be influenced by the people they live with, or close to, we could expect that the wild Pokemon of the Sinnoh region would be more influenced by their nature and surroundings, rather than, you know, the people that they're around. Hence why there may be evolutions and maybe their designs and all that could change to fit better with the environment they are within. So let's take a look at some of the Pokemon that could work well in this way. The first one of these in my mind would have to be a Pokemon that I personally love and that makes total sense to be present in the region. A Noctowl. Now, yes, it is an owl, and like normal birds, I guess they don't really migrate, but rather stick around. So what if we have some sort of Noctowl that existed in the ancient version of Sinnoh and the ancient Sinnoh region past, but stuck around and died out due to the upper parts of Sinnoh where it lived being too cold, and only a few of them remaining, and the remaining months taking on a new typing of ice typing. Now imagine this, like genuinely imagine how cool that would be. A Noctowl that's an ice type that just hides in the northern parts of the Sinnoh region, but that we don't see in the future because the last ones that exist here basically get hunted to death in, you know, throughout their time within this region when you are documenting them and looking around Legends Arceus the game. So what do you guys think about this one? Let me know. Next is a natural predator of birds, which would be a snake, so why not give Arbok a fire-type form in Pokemon Legends Arceus the game? Something along the line of this design right here would be really cool to see. It just flaming around and on a search for like essentially food at all given times. A thing that you would actually have to worry about yourself, something that would be out there, maybe even as a possible boss Pokemon. Yes, I'm genuinely saying that. What if this could possibly be a Pokemon out there that is literally a boss Pokemon they have to watch out for, that could be like just roaming around and much larger than your, future Arboks, and maybe like the future Arboks actually changed due to this, or maybe all these Arboks that were fire types on this region died out over time. But what do you guys think about this idea? Let me know in the comments. Next, we have this amazing design by Luis Gonzalez of what a Numel and Camrupt could look like. Now, these were designed for, I think, his own actual region called Luanese Numel and Luanese Camrupt, and these are ice and ground type. Now, in design, I think these are really unique, and personally, I find that they really kind of get this whole point across at this being an ancient region, and maybe like these specific Numels are in, again, the northern parts of the Sinnoh region, in the colder areas, up around the mountains. Considering what, like, Camrupt and Numel are based on in terms of real animals, it only makes sense they would be up high on like higher altitudes. And let's be fair, if they're not close to a volcano, quote unquote, then I think the higher chance would be that they would actually evolve to be ice types rather than fire types in any sense of the word. Like the Camrupt and Numel we, first ever see back in like Generation 3 are around a lot of like, volcanic areas with a lot of fire around them, causing them to gain that typing. But what if in this situation it's a little bit, flipped around to say the least, where instead they are in a colder area because of the altitude and because of the mountains around them, they change to look like this, with the color and the pigment in their body changing as well, with the rocks around them, as well as them gaining the ice typing possibly as well, due to the surroundings they are within. What are you guys' thoughts? Let me know. Now, this next one is one of my personal favorites and one that I think should be included, which is some new form for Arcanine. Now, yes, I know a lot of Gen 2, Gen 1 Pokemon included here. There are probably a lot of Gen 4 Pokemon you guys would want to see forms for, which if you have any, let me know in the comment section down below. What like Sinnoh Pokemon, particular ones from directly Sinnoh you would want to see. But for me, I'd love to see Arcanine get a new form, as it is a Pokemon that, well, it is a famous Pokemon, but I feel like it gets overshadowed by stuff like Charizard due to, the region it's from being Kanto, and there being a more famous one from there. So I personally would love to see a form of like Arcanine, a Sinnohan form that used to also exist there and basically died out. I mean, maybe it could still retain its fire typing, or it could go a different way and gain some sort of ice typing instead due to, again, its environment. But as we've seen from the trailer, there are a lot of lush areas within this region. It's not just going to be a cold wasteland. So if it does have a lot of luscious areas, we could have just normal Arcanines, maybe with some change in typing, or ice type Arcanines roaming around the fields and, the grassy terrain, just having the time of their lives before they basically get killed out. Now, of course, we do know something very important about Sinnoh, which is the lack of fire-type Pokemon. So maybe we could just have normal Arcanines around here with maybe an extra typing to them. So maybe fire and ice combined into one, because maybe their environment is causing them to gain more than one typing to survive. So who knows? What do you guys think about all this? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you the next time.